The divorce papers landed on my desk. The same morning my wife's face appeared on Forbes' 30 Under 30 CEOs to Watch, and the lawyer's eyes held a warning I should have heeded. But that was nothing compared to what I found in her penthouse office 3 days later. The secret she'd been hiding wasn't just about her meteoric rise to power, it was about why she needed me gone before the board meeting, before the press conference, before everything she'd built came crashing down in the most spectacular way imaginable. Some betrayals destroy you. Others? They set you free in ways you never saw coming. Hey, I know you're probably watching this while doing something else, but trust me, you're going to want to pause and actually pay attention to this one. What happens next? I still can't believe it myself. Hit that like button if you're ready for a story that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about ambition, marriage, and the price of success. My name is Derek Mitchell, and 6 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Saturday mornings in our Palo Alto townhouse always started the same way. Vanessa would be up before dawn, laptop glowing in the kitchen, her dark hair pulled back in that messy bun that somehow looked intentional. I'd shuffle in around 7, and she'd already have my coffee brewing, extra shot of espresso, just the way I liked it. "Morning, superstar," I'd say, kissing the top of her head. She'd barely look up from her screen. Morning." That should have been my first clue. Not the distraction Vanessa had always been driven. She'd been that way since we met at Stanford 8 years ago. Both of us grinding through our MBAs, both of us dreaming of changing the world. I went into sustainable architecture, she went into tech, but somewhere along the way, her drive became something else, something I couldn't quite name. "You coming to bed at all last night?" I asked that particular Saturday, pouring my coffee. "Couldn't sleep. Big investor meeting Monday." She finally glanced up, and I saw the dark circles under her eyes. "Derek, I think this is it. I think Horizon Tech is about to go stratospheric." Horizon Tech. Her baby? The AI-driven supply chain company she'd been building for 3 years, starting in our garage, then moving to a small office in Mountain View, and now occupying 2 floors of a downtown San Francisco high-rise. "That's amazing, Van. I meant it. I was proud of her. You've worked so hard." "We've worked hard," she corrected, but her eyes were already back on the screen. I looked at her then, really looked at her. When had she gotten so thin? When had the laugh lines around her eyes been replaced by tension creases? "Hey," I said softly, "when's the last time we actually spent a Saturday together? No work, no emails. Just us." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Soon. After this round of funding closes. I promise." I'd heard that promise before. Last month. The month before that. The month before that. But I understood. Silicon Valley was brutal. You either went all in or you got left behind. And Vanessa wasn't the type to be left behind. What I didn't understand, what I couldn't have known, was that she'd already made her choice, and I wasn't part of the future she was building. The signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Like the new wardrobe. Vanessa had always dressed professionally, but suddenly everything was designer. Armani suits, Louboutin heels, a Cartier watch that cost more than our first car. "Investors take you more seriously when you look the part," she explained when I commented on it. Or the late nights that became all-nighters. The business trips to New York, Seattle, Austin. The way she'd angled her laptop screen away from me when I walked into the room. "Proprietary information," she'd say with a tight smile. "NDA stuff. You know how it is." I did know. My firm dealt with corporate confidentiality all the time. So I didn't push. Our friends noticed before I did. "Dude, when's the last time we saw you two together?" My college buddy Jake asked over beers one Thursday night. "Vanessa didn't even come to Rachel's birthday last month." "She's busy," I said, maybe too defensively. "Closing a major funding round." Jake exchanged a look with our friend Tyler. "Derek, man, you doing okay?" "I'm fine. We're fine." But were we? I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The way Vanessa's phone was always face down on the table now. The way she'd started taking calls in her car, even when she was home. The way she'd stiffened when I touched her, like my hands were an intrusion rather than a comfort. One night in early September, I tried to bridge the gap. I cooked her favorite meal, pan-seared salmon with asparagus and wild rice. Lit candles. Put on the playlist from our honeymoon in Italy. She came home at 9:30, tie loosened, looking exhausted. "What's all this?" she asked. But she wasn't smiling. "I missed you," I said simply. "Thought we could use a night. You and me." Vanessa set down her briefcase with a sigh. "Derek, I have a 7 a.m. meeting tomorrow, so we'll make it an early night." "I can't. I have to prep the investor deck." "You've been prepping that deck for 2 weeks." "Because it has to be perfect." Her voice cracked, and for a moment I saw something in her eyes, fear. Desperation? "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. If this funding round doesn't close, everything I've built falls apart." I walked over to her, tried to take her hands. "Then let me help you carry it. That's what marriage is, Van. We carry it together." She pulled away. "You can't help me with this." The words hung between us like a wall. "Can't? Or won't let me?" She didn't answer. Just picked up her briefcase and walked to her home office, closing the door behind her. I stood there in our dining room, surrounded by flickering candles and cooling salmon, and felt the first real twist of fear in my gut. Something was very, very wrong. The Forbes article dropped on a Tuesday morning in mid-October. I was in my office at Bennett and Associates Architects, reviewing blueprints for a green housing project in Sacramento, when my phone started blowing up. Texts from friends, emails from former classmates, even a call from my mother. "Derek, did you see? Vanessa made Forbes." I hadn't seen. I pulled up the article on my desktop, and there she was. Vanessa Mitchell, CEO of Horizon Tech, named to Forbes 30 Under 30 CEOs to watch. The photo showed her in a crisp white blouse and navy blazer, standing in front of floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking San Francisco Bay, looking powerful and confident and utterly untouchable. Vanessa Mitchell is revolutionizing supply chain management with AI-driven predictive analytics, the article gushed. Her company, Horizon Tech, has grown from a garage startup to a $200 million valuation in just 3 years, with major contracts from Amazon, Walmart, and Tesla. Mitchell credits her success to an unwavering focus and the ability to make difficult decisions without hesitation. I read that last line 3 times. The ability to make difficult decisions without hesitation. I should have been celebrating. I should have been proud. Hell, I was proud. But something about that phrase unsettled me. I texted her, "Saw the Forbes piece. Congrats. You're incredible. Dinner tonight to celebrate?" Her response came 2 hours later. "Thanks. Can't do dinner. Board meeting prep. Let's celebrate this weekend." Another weekend promise. Another delay. I stared at her message and felt that twist of fear again. Sharper this time. That's when my office line rang. The receptionist's voice was apologetic. "Derek? There's a man here to see you. Says it's urgent. Won't give his name." 5 minutes later, a lean man in an expensive charcoal suit was sitting across from my desk. He had the smooth, practiced demeanor of someone who delivered bad news professionally. "Mr. Mitchell, my name is Richard Hartwell. I'm an attorney with Morrison, Sanders, and Webb." He slid a manila envelope across my desk. "I've been asked to deliver these to you personally." My hands were steady as I opened the envelope, but my heart was already racing. Divorce papers. The words blurred as I tried to read them. Irreconcilable differences. Division of assets. Dissolution of marriage. "I don't understand," I heard myself say. Hartwell's expression was carefully neutral. "Your wife has filed for dissolution of your marriage, effective immediately. You'll note that she's proposed a settlement that's quite generous, given California's community property laws." Generous. The word barely registered. When did she? How long has she been planning this? Something flickered in Hartwell's eyes then. Not quite sympathy, more like recognition. Like he'd seen this scene play out 100 times before. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details, Mr. Mitchell, but I would advise you to read the documents carefully. He paused, then added quietly, particularly the timeline clauses. Your wife is requesting expedited proceedings. Expedited? She wants the divorce finalized within 60 days. I looked up from the papers, stunned. Why the rush? Hartwell stood, buttoning his suit jacket. That's a question you'll need to ask Mrs. Mitchell. My office will be in touch regarding next steps. He left, and I sat there in my office, holding my dissolving marriage in a manila envelope, while outside my window, the October sun shone bright and indifferent over downtown Sacramento. I didn't call Vanessa. I didn't text. I drove straight to our townhouse. The divorce papers on the passenger seat like an accusation. She wasn't home. Of course she wasn't home. It was barely 2 in the afternoon. I let myself in. It was still my home, for now, and stood in the living room we'd furnished together, the couch we'd picked out at West Elm, the art we'd bought on our trip to Santa Fe, the life we'd built, piece by piece, decision by decision. All of it a lie? Or just over? I called her cell. It went to voicemail. I texted, "We need to talk. Now." An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, at 5:30, she texted back, "I know you got the papers. I'm sorry, Derek." This is for the best. My hands were shaking as I typed. For the best? Vanessa, you filed for divorce without even talking to me. What the hell is going on? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Can we please do this like adults? The settlement is fair. You'll be taken care of. Taken care of. Like I was a problem to be managed. Like 8 years of marriage could be solved with a generous check and some legal paperwork. I called her again. This time, she answered, "Derek, please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Her voice was cool, distant. The voice she used with difficult investors, harder than it needs to be? I couldn't keep the anger out of my voice. Vanessa, you're my wife. We took vows. We built a life together. And you're ending it with a lawyer and a text message? Silence on the line. Then, I've changed, Derek. My life has changed. What we had, it doesn't fit anymore. I don't fit anymore, you mean? That's not what I said, but it's what you mean. I was pacing now, my voice rising. You made CEO, got your Forbes profile, and suddenly I'm dead weight? Is that it? You're twisting this. Then explain it to me. Make me understand. Another long silence. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, almost sad. I can't give you what you need, Derek. And you can't give me what I need. That's the truth. What do you need? To not have this conversation. The sadness was gone, replaced by that cool efficiency. Please read the settlement. Sign the papers. Let's end this with dignity. I deserve better than this. Yes, she said softly. You do. That's why I'm letting you go. The line went dead. I stood there in our living room, phone in hand, and felt my marriage slip through my fingers like water. I didn't sign the papers. Instead, I called the one person I knew would give me straight answers. My sister, Lauren, who worked as a corporate investigator for a firm in San Jose. We met for coffee the next morning at a diner in Redwood City, halfway between our offices. Lauren took one look at me and winced. Jesus, Derek, you look like hell. Vanessa filed for divorce yesterday, through a lawyer. No warning. Shit. Lauren stirred her coffee, thinking, that's cold, even for Silicon Valley standards. She wants it done in 60 days. Expedited proceedings. Lauren's eyes narrowed. Why the rush? That's what I can't figure out. I pulled out the divorce papers, pointed to the timeline clause. Everything else is generous, maybe too generous. She's giving me the townhouse, my retirement accounts, even offering a cash settlement, but she needs this done fast. My sister read through the documents, her expression growing more concerned. Derek, This doesn't make sense. In California, she'd be entitled to half of everything as community property. But according to this, she's giving you way more than your share of the marital assets. So people only overpay in divorces for two reasons: guilt or urgency. Lauren looked up at me. Which one do you think this is? I thought about Vanessa's late nights, her secretive phone calls, the way she'd pulled away over the past 6 months. Could be both, I admitted. Lauren tapped the papers. This expedited timeline. What else is happening in Vanessa's life right now? Any major business deals? Public offerings? She just closed a major funding round. And there's some big board meeting coming up. She mentioned it last week. When? End of November, I think. Lauren pulled out her phone, started typing. I'm going to do some digging. Corporate filings, business news, SEC records. If Vanessa's rushing this divorce, there's a reason, and I bet it's connected to Horizon Tech. What are you thinking? My sister looked at me with the blunt honesty only siblings can manage. I'm thinking your wife is hiding something. And whatever it is, she needs to be divorced before it comes out. The information started coming in over the next week. Lauren called me on Friday evening, her voice tight with something between excitement and concern. Derek, you need to see this. I'm sending you some files. My email pinged. 3 PDF documents, all marked confidential. What am I looking at? SEC filings for Horizon Tech. They're preparing for an IPO, initial public offering. Going public, probably by January. I opened the first document, scanned the dense legal language. Okay, so that Forbes article wasn't just good press. It was strategic. Vanessa's building her public profile because she's about to become the face of a publicly traded company. Lauren paused. And here's where it gets interesting. Look at the ownership structure. I found the page. Horizon Tech's equity was divided among early investors, venture capital firms, and 3 key executives. Vanessa owned 22% of the company. At the proposed IPO valuation, that stake would be worth roughly $180 million. I set down my phone, stunned. She's about to become incredibly wealthy. Not just wealthy, Derek, Silicon Valley royalty wealthy. We're talking private jets and charity galas and invitations to Davos. Lauren's voice dropped. And she wants to be divorced before any of that happens. Why? California's a community property state. Even if we divorce now, wouldn't I be entitled to... That's the thing, Lauren interrupted. Look at the date she filed, October 15th, and look at the date the last funding round closed. I pulled up the Forbes article again, found the detail buried in the 3rd paragraph. Horizon Tech announced its Series D funding round, led by Sequoia Capital, on October 1st. 2 weeks before Vanessa filed for divorce, she waited, I said slowly. She waited until after the funding closed. Right, because that funding fundamentally changed the company's valuation, and if you were still married when the IPO happens, you'd have a claim to a portion of her shares. Lauren sighed. Derek, I think your wife has been planning this for months. The timing is too perfect. I felt sick. All those late nights. All those secretive meetings. She hadn't just been building a company. She'd been building an exit strategy from Horizon Tech's startup phase into its IPO phase. And from her marriage into her new life as a tech billionaire. There's something else, Lauren added quietly. I did some digging into Vanessa's inner circle. Her CFO, a guy named Bradley Winters, he filed for divorce 8 months ago, right before Horizon Tech's Series C funding round. The implications hung in the air between us. You think there? I don't know what I think. But the patterns are suspicious. Lauren hesitated. Derek, I can dig deeper if you want. Find out what else she's hiding. But you need to ask yourself, do you really want to know? I stared at the divorce papers on my coffee table, at the generous settlement, at the expedited timeline. Yeah, I said. I want to know. I showed up at Horizon Tech's headquarters unannounced on Monday morning. The building was sleek and modern, all glass and steel, in the heart of San Francisco's financial district. The lobby had that startup vibe, exposed brick, modern art, a coffee bar serving single-origin espresso. Young people in expensive casual wear moved through the space with purpose, tablets and phones in hand. The receptionist looked up with a practiced smile. "Welcome to Horizon Tech. Do you have an appointment?" "I'm here to see Vanessa Mitchell." "And your name?" "Derek Mitchell. I'm her husband." The smile faltered slightly. "One moment, please." She picked up her phone, spoke quietly. I caught fragments. "Says he's her husband, no appointment should I." 2 minutes later, a young woman in a pantsuit appeared. "Mr. Mitchell? I'm Jenna, Mrs. Mitchell's executive assistant. I'm afraid Vanessa is in meetings all morning. If you'd like to schedule, tell her I'm not leaving until we talk." Jenna's professional mask slipped for just a second. "Sir, I really can't. Either she comes down here, or I go up there. Her choice." Something in my tone must have convinced her, because she nodded tightly and disappeared back toward the elevators. I waited in the lobby for 15 minutes, watching Horizon Tech's employees move past, all of them building my wife's empire while my marriage crumbled. Then the elevator doors opened, and Vanessa stepped out. She looked every inch, the CEO-fitted black dress, designer heels, her hair in a sleek ponytail. But when she saw me, something cracked in her composure. "Derek, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk. I'm in the middle of—" "I know about the IPO, Vanessa." She froze. Around us, the lobby had gone quiet. People were watching, pretending not to watch. "Let's go outside," she said tightly. We walked 2 blocks in silence to a small park overlooking the bay. October wind whipped off the water, cold and sharp. Vanessa wrapped her arms around herself. "You're going public?" I said. "January, right? How did you—" She shook her head. "It doesn't matter." "Yes, we're preparing for an IPO. And you'll be worth what? 100 million? 200? Derek, is that why you filed? You didn't want to share it?" The anger I'd been suppressing boiled over. 8 years, Vanessa. I supported you through the garage phase, the bootstrap phase, the sleepless nights and failed pitches and almost bankruptcy moments. And now that you've made it, you're cutting me out? That's not why I filed. Then why? I stepped closer to her. Give me one good reason, one honest reason. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time in months, I saw the woman I'd married. Tired, scared, human. "Because I'm not the person you married anymore," she said quietly, "and I don't know if I like who I've become." The confession hung between us. "Then change," I said. "We can figure this out together. That's what marriage—" "You don't understand." She was shaking now, and I realized it wasn't from the cold, the things I've done to get here, the compromises I've made, the lines I've crossed. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You still see me as the woman from Stanford, the idealist who wanted to change the world. But that woman is gone, Derek. And what's left? You wouldn't recognize her. Try me." Vanessa laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want the truth? Fine. We fudged our user metrics to impress investors. We poached talent from competitors by breaking NDAs. I personally fired 30 people last month because they were cultural misfits, which really meant they questioned my decisions." She was crying now, mascara running. "And Bradley Winters? My CFO? We've been having an affair for 6 months." There it was. The truth I'd been avoiding. I should have felt something: rage, betrayal, devastation. Instead, I felt oddly calm. "How long have you been planning to leave me?" "Since March." She wiped her eyes. "We were at a conference in Austin. Bradley and I were working late on the Series D pitch, and he said something about how much easier business would be without personal complications. He just finalized his divorce, was free to travel, to work 18-hour days, to put the company first." She looked at me, and I realized I wanted that freedom. The freedom to be ruthless without hurting you, to chase this without dragging you down with me. "So you're leaving me for him?" "No." Vanessa shook her head. I'm leaving you for this." She gestured vaguely at the skyline, at the towers of wealth and power. "Bradley's just someone who understands this world, who doesn't judge me for what I've had to become." I felt something break inside me then, but it wasn't my heart. It was the last thread of hope that this marriage could be saved. "The expedited timeline," I said. "You want the divorce finalized before the IPO, so I can't claim any of your shares." She didn't deny it. "The generous settlement is guilt money, and you're overpaying to make sure I don't fight the timeline." "Yes," she said simply. We stood there in the cold October wind, 8 years of marriage reduced to legal strategy and financial calculations. "I loved you," I said. "I really did." "I know." Vanessa's voice was barely audible. "I loved you too. That's why I'm giving you the out now, before this gets uglier. Before the IPO press cycle starts and my face is everywhere. Before you have to watch me become someone you'll hate. I could never hate you. Give it time." She turned toward the water, her silhouette stark against the bright morning sky. "Sign the papers, Derek. Take the settlement. Build a life that doesn't include me. It's the only gift I have left to give you." She walked away then, back toward her tower of glass and ambition, leaving me alone in the park. I should have felt destroyed. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. Because she was right. The woman I'd married was gone, and I didn't want to be married to the woman she'd become. I signed the papers that night and sent them to Hartwell's office. But I didn't do it out of defeat. I did it because Lauren had found something else. She called me at midnight, her voice vibrating with barely contained excitement. "Derek, you need to sit down for this." I was already sitting, a glass of bourbon in hand, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel. "What did you find?" "Vanessa's not the only one who's been planning ahead." Lauren paused for dramatic effect. "Her CFO, Bradley Winters, he's been conducting his own investigation, and according to documents I acquired, he's been building a case against Vanessa for securities fraud." The bourbon stopped halfway to my lips. "What? Those fudged user metrics Vanessa mentioned? They weren't just corporate spin. They were material misrepresentations to investors. Winters has emails, internal memos, board meeting minutes, all showing Vanessa deliberately inflated Horizon Tech's performance to secure the Series D funding." My mind raced. But if Winters has evidence of fraud, why hasn't he reported it? Because he's in on it too. They both are. But here's the interesting part. Winters filed for divorce 8 months ago, right? His ex-wife is now suing him for concealed assets. And to protect himself, Winters started documenting everything, including Vanessa's fraud. He's building leverage. Leverage for what? My guess? When the IPO happens, Winters plans to either force Vanessa out and take control of the company, or blackmail her into giving him a bigger equity stake. Lauren's voice dropped. "Derek, Vanessa's not just leaving you to be free. She's leaving you to protect you. When this fraud case explodes, and it will explode, anyone connected to her is going to get caught in the fallout, including spouses." The bourbon glass was sweating in my hand. "So, the divorce is her way of making sure you're legally separated when the SEC comes knocking? When the lawsuits start flying? When her empire collapses?" Lauren paused. "Your wife isn't abandoning you, Derek. In her own twisted way, she's saving you." I spent the next 2 weeks in a haze, processing this new reality. Vanessa wasn't just a CEO having an affair. She was a fraud waiting to be exposed. And Bradley Winters wasn't her ally, he was her eventual betrayer. The divorce was finalized on November 18th, a gray Tuesday morning in San Francisco Superior Court. Vanessa didn't attend. Her lawyer handled everything. I walked out of the courthouse, a single man, with a settlement check for $800,000 and ownership of our townhouse. I should have felt something. Victory? Loss? Instead, I felt numb. Lauren met me for lunch afterward at a Thai place in the Mission. "So, what now?" "Now?" I stared at my pad thai. Now I figure out who I am without her. You could go to the SEC, report what we found. I considered it. The evidence Lauren had gathered would be enough to start an investigation. Vanessa's lies, the inflated metrics, the securities fraud, all of it documented. But when I thought about actually doing it, about being the one to destroy her, I felt only exhaustion. She's going to destroy herself, I said. Winters is going to make sure of that. So, you're just going to let her crash and burn? I'm going to let her live with the choices she made. I pushed my food around. That's punishment enough. Lauren studied me. You still love her. I love who she was, not who she became. There's a difference? Yeah, I said quietly. There is. The Forbes article came out in mid-December. Horizon Tech CEO under investigation for securities fraud. I was in my office when I saw the headline. My hands were steady as I clicked the link. The SEC has launched a formal investigation into Horizon Tech CEO Vanessa Mitchell, following allegations of material misrepresentation to investors. According to sources close to the investigation, Mitchell allegedly inflated user engagement metrics and revenue projections during the company's Series D funding round in October, securing $150 million under false pretenses. The investigation was triggered by a whistleblower complaint filed by Horizon Tech's CFO, Bradley Winters, who provided extensive documentation of alleged fraud. I read the article twice, feeling nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a distant sadness for the woman who'd lost herself chasing success. My phone rang. Lauren, did you see? I saw. Derek, this is going to get ugly. The IPO's dead. Horizon Tech's stock value is going to crater. Investors are going to sue. Criminal charges are possible. I know. And you're okay with this? I thought about Vanessa in that park, crying, admitting what she'd become. I'm not okay with any of it. But it's not my story anymore. The fallout was spectacular. Horizon Tech's board forced Vanessa to resign within 48 hours. The IPO was canceled. Early investors filed a class action lawsuit seeking $500 million in damages, and Bradley Winters, the whistleblower, was fired for his role in the fraud, despite his cooperation with the SEC. It turned out neither of them were innocent. Both had participated in the lies. Both had profited from the deception, and both were going to pay the price. The media had a field day. Silicon Valley's fallen star, the dark side of tech ambition, how one CEO's greed destroyed $1 billion dream. I watched it unfold from a distance, like observing a wildfire from across a valley. Destructive and terrible, but no longer my concern. Then, on a cold evening in January, my doorbell rang. Vanessa stood on my doorstep, wearing jeans and a Stanford hoodie I recognized from a decade ago. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail. She looked young and lost and completely broken. I'm sorry, she said, for all of it. I stepped aside, let her in. We sat in the living room, her old living room, and for a long time, neither of us spoke. I lost everything, she finally said. The company, the money, my reputation. Bradley's cutting a deal with the SEC and blaming everything on me. My lawyers say I'll probably avoid prison, but I'll lose everything I built. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I did this to myself, didn't I? Yeah, I said gently. You did. Do you hate me? I thought about my answer carefully. No, I don't hate you, Vanessa. But I don't know you anymore either. She nodded, like she'd expected that. The divorce settlement, the money I gave you, it's probably the only thing they won't claw back. I made sure of that, made sure you were protected. I know. I wanted to save you from this. From me. I know that too. We sat in silence for another long moment, and I realized this was goodbye, the real goodbye, not the one in the lawyer's office or the park by the bay. I hope you find yourself again, I said. The person you were before all this. The woman who wanted to change the world. not conquer it. Vanessa smiled sadly. That woman's gone, Derek. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she's just buried under all the bullshit. Maybe you'll find her again once everything else is stripped away. She stood to leave, paused at the door. What will you do? With the settlement money? I'd been thinking about that. There's a nonprofit in Oakland that builds affordable green housing. I think I'm going to volunteer. Use my architecture skills for something that actually matters. That sounds like you. She opened the door, letting in the cold January air. Goodbye, Derek. Goodbye, Vanessa. She walked down the path to her car, not a Tesla anymore, just a plain Honda Civic, and drove away. I closed the door and stood in the silence of my townhouse, in the space that was finally, completely mine. And for the first time in months, I felt something like peace. The Stanford Alumni magazine arrived on a warm June afternoon. I almost tossed it in the recycling, but something made me flip through it. Halfway through, I found a short article that made me stop. Former Horizon Tech CEO Vanessa Mitchell has enrolled in Stanford's doctoral program in business ethics, focusing her research on corporate fraud and moral compromise in high-stakes industries. I spent years making decisions that destroyed my integrity, Mitchell told the Stanford Daily. Now I want to understand why and how we can prevent others from making the same mistakes. The photo showed Vanessa in a library, surrounded by books, looking tired but genuine. No designer clothes, no power poses, just a woman trying to rebuild herself from scratch. I smiled and set down the magazine. She was finding her way back. It would take time, years, probably. But the woman I'd married, the idealist from our Stanford days, was still in there somewhere. As for me, I was doing okay. The green housing project in Oakland had turned into a full-time position. I was designing affordable, sustainable homes for families who actually needed them. The work was meaningful in a way my corporate architecture job had never been. I'd started dating again, nothing serious yet, but I was open to the possibility. I'd learned that love wasn't about sacrifice and compromise until you lost yourself. It was about finding someone who helped you become the best version of yourself. And sometimes, the greatest gift someone could give you was letting you go. My phone buzzed. A text from Jake. Poker night Friday? Tyler's bringing that awful beer again. I smiled and typed back. I'm in. Life was moving forward. And for the first time in a long time, I was excited to see where it would go. So that's the story. Wild, right? Sometimes the person you love becomes someone you don't recognize, and sometimes the best thing they can do is let you go before they drag you down with them. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment and tell me. Would you have signed those divorce papers? Or would you have fought it? And if you want more stories about love, betrayal, and the complicated mess of being human, stick around. I've got plenty more where this came from. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.